Welcome to Diaries of a Healing Latina. This is a safe space where we talk about the parts of healing that no one really prepares us for. In today's episode, we're going to talk about something a little different. We're going to talk about being overweight in a Hispanic household. I'm speaking from experience. When I was younger, I was actually an obese child. I don't even know how tall I was back then, but I could tell you now I'm 4'11", so I'm guessing 4 feet, 4'5" maybe. And I was pretty heavy. I was around 11 years old and I used to weigh 180 pounds. Mind you, I'm like this short, 180 pounds. I'm pre-diabetic. I have everything wrong with me. I don't want to work out. I don't want to lose weight. I do not want to take care of myself. And obviously I was a child also, but all of that, and now looking back, is a reflection of depression. And it's something that a lot of Hispanics don't talk about. Being overweight in a Hispanic household is like you saying you are an atheist. That's the best way I could honestly explain it. Even though you're overweight because your family does not teach you how to eat healthy. In a Hispanic household, I feel like, especially our elders, nobody's really taught how to eat properly, how to eat right. Everyone thinks that because you eat rice and beans with a protein, steak, chicken, whatever it may be, that's healthy. But that's really not healthy. Not all the time, at least. One of my favorite meals when I was younger was spaghetti with pollo guisado and rice. And you mix it all together and that's a dinner right there. Then for breakfast, what did you have? Pan de bonos, buñuelos, something with bread. A lunch, at least in a Colombian household, is soup or salad with the main plate and then a dessert. But to drink, it's not water, it's juice or soda. A lot of my family members, especially the older family members in my household, they actually do not drink water. They drink agua panela, jugo con leche, gaseosa, which is agua panela is straight up sugar. It's like sugar cane. Juice, straight up sugar, because it's not only the fruit, but they added sugar on top of that. And then you have juice with milk and Coke or sodas. So that's literally your lunch. If you are overweight, you did not have dinner, because it is believed that if you eat 3 times a day, you gain more weight, which is crazy because now once you learn about your body, once you learn about health, once you learn about eating right, eating healthy, you actually learn that the more you eat, the more you actually burn. But in a Hispanic household, it's so drastic. It's either you eat all of this carbs in one meal or you don't eat at all. So this is where all of the eating disorders come from. It sucks because you feel like you're actually raised the correct way and you're actually and you feel like you're taught how to eat properly. But when you grow up and you start learning about health and you start learning about all of these different things, about eating, about foods, about meal, you actually realize how unhealthy our culture is. I don't know every other independent country, but at least I know in Colombia, it's extremely drastic. And sometimes I get upset at my family members because listen, I understand you're on a diet, but there's a difference between a diet and being healthy and a diet and being unhealthy. And you're unhealthy because eating twice a day is not healthy. You working out 2 hours and not eating the way you're supposed to eat is not healthy. You're supposed to intake carbs. Yes, they're not great, but you're supposed to intake them so you can actually teach your body how to burn the carbs. But like I said, it's very drastic. Either we get that meal, that spaghetti with rice and chicken with all of the sauces, which the sauces actually contain potatoes, or you get nothing. You literally eat nothing. I've seen family members that do not eat anything. They'll only eat once a day and then wonder why they have gut issues. And then you sit there and you're like, what do you mean? What you mean? With all of that, when I was younger, as I had mentioned previously, I was obese and I ended up getting a gastric bypass. When I got it was pretty early. I actually got my gastric bypass at 11 years old. Yes, it was a very young age, but I was very overweight. And for my height, it was completely understandable. Being overweight truly affected me in many ways. From the ages 1 to 5, I was this very outgoing little girl that wanted to be famous, wanted to be in Don Francisco. She was very outgoing, very vocal. She didn't care about anything or anyone, what they said. I wasn't timid at all. But from 5 and above, that's when I started really gaining weight and I started being a little meatball. And that's when I started getting bullied. I started getting bullied at school, but not only at school, I also got bullied at home. And I was in a lot of activities. My parents had me in karate, roller skating, I did ballet, I did swimming, I did a bunch of stuff. My parents had me on a strict diet with the workout, and nothing really was working out. But like I said, I was getting bullied at school. And then I would get home and I would get bullied by my family members as well. And I remember that at that point when I started getting bullied, that's when basically my light got shut down. And I stopped being this outgoing little girl and I started being this timid, shy girl. And my self-esteem went down to the floor. I had no sort of self-esteem whatsoever. At that point, I truly do believe that's when I truly started experiencing depression. But that was the first stages of my depression. Around the age of 8, we came to the United States. We lived in Colombia. I went to a public school. I got freaking bullied every single day at that school. So my parents ended up moving me to a private school and I ended up getting bullied at this private school as well. I remember people calling me all sorts of names because I was such a big girl, but also I was so short. So you being short and big, you look 10 times bigger. And I truly had no one to really fall back to because my mom is the type of person that she never wanted to hurt my feelings. And obviously we all knew like I was overweight, but she would just spoil me. Everything that I wanted to eat, she would give me when I would visit her during the summer. So during the summer, I used to gain even more weight from the entire year. When I turned 11, my dad actually got a gastric bypass. And I remember he went through the entire process. He was like in a pain. I remember seeing him and everything. But my dad ended up losing drastic weight. And I remember being amazed by it. Like, oh my God, like I want that for myself, please. So when I was about to turn 12, my parents, they asked me, they're like, listen, you could get your father's surgery and you could lose the weight, or you could just stay like that and keep working out and just be on the diet that you currently are on. You can decide, but if you want the surgery, we can gift it to you as your birthday gift. And I remember I was so tired of being bullied that I literally looked at my parents and I was like, yes, please. I want the surgery like tomorrow. I didn't even wait until I turned 12. I remember it was like a couple months before I turned 12 that I got this surgery. And all I remember was just being super excited to get the surgery. I was like, yes, I'm going to get this surgery. I'm going to lose so much weight. I'm going to be skinny. I'm going to have the body that I've always wanted. Thank God. Oh my God. I'm so happy. They took me to Colombia. I did all the tests. My parents asked my school if I could just stay in Colombia for a couple months. I also needed to stay there for the recovery and everything. And then I got the surgery. It was the most painful surgery I've ever gotten in my life. I have a couple of surgeries. We'll talk about that later. But that was the number one most painful surgery I'd ever experienced in my life. And my doctor was actually shocked because he was like, I feel this surgery is so painful. I thought you would be crying and like just wanting to reverse the surgery. Like you're in pain, but you look very happy. And I remember telling my doctor, yes, I'm happy. I'm going to finally be skinny. I'm going to finally not be so overweight. I'm finally not going to get bullied. Literally in 5 months, I had lost a lot of weight. I don't even know because I can't remember that much, but I remember seeing my pictures that year, seeing myself being obese, and then seeing myself being a skinnier version of me, and finally wearing everything that I wanted to wear, not having to buy women's clothes, and finally being able to buy teens clothes. Because if you remember back then, teens had their own store. And every time my parents would take me to the teen store, nothing would fit me. So when I lost all of this weight, they finally took me again to this store. And I remember looking at myself in the mirror, being so happy and so proud of myself, being able to wear a skirt, being able to wear the teen tops and not having to wear the adult shirts, tops, and pants. And I remember that was like a drastic change for me. And I was very happy. I was very excited. The boys started liking me. And it was an attention that I had never received in my life. Obviously, with attention, everything comes. I think that sparked up a little bit me wanting to be a little more sexier, showing more, wearing tighter clothes later on in life. But it's understandable as well. With all of that, I remember my life just changed after that. And that's when I went into high school and I finally got my boyfriend and I got everything that I wanted. But something that the bullying from my middle school, the bullying from my household sparked up was killing my personality. I stopped being who I was as a child. And who I was as a child, it was the person I was always meant to be. An outgoing, bubbly person, not this shy, conservative, quiet girl that is afraid to speak to people. And even until today's day, I'm afraid to even speak to people. I don't know what it is, but I get very timid around people. I get nervous. I start shaking and I hate it. But it's all triggers from my childhood. And I am pretty self-aware of that. Not only did I go through all of that in school, but when now talking about my household, it did not get any better from school. So yes, I was getting bullied at school, but then I would go home and I would get bullied by my family members because, like I had mentioned previously, being overweight in a household is a crime. It's like being an atheist, which is crazy to me. It's like you telling your Christian, Catholic, Hispanic parents that you do not believe in God. That's like you're the devil type. And that's how I felt being overweight felt. Because I heard it from my grandparents. I heard it from my aunts. I heard it from my uncles. I heard it from my cousins. I heard it from my parents. I heard it from absolutely everyone. Hispanic household, there was never, oh, hi, how are you? I missed you. I haven't seen you in so long. It was always, ¿Estás gorda? Uy, subiste mucho de peso. Why did you gain so much weight? I don't understand. And then they stare at your parents. Is she not on a diet? Like, what are you doing to her? Why is she so fat? And it was never like a smooth conversation like, oh, like she's a little overweight. No, it was, she's so fat. Like, look her. What are you feeding her? Stop giving her rice. Cut down the carbs. No, she shouldn't eat dinner. She shouldn't be drinking juice. And it got annoying because you heard it from every single point. Living in a Hispanic household, you're always going to get something in a family reunion. You don't know what it is, but you're just going to get it. You're not going to get the hi, I missed you. You're going to get the, why did you gain weight? Why are you so fat? Why don't you have a boyfriend? Why this? Why that? Why did you quit your job? Why do you want to be this? Why did you drop out of school? Why? Bruh, leave me alone. Let me breathe for a second. You haven't seen me in months. You haven't seen me in a year. Say hi to me. Tell me you miss me. Tell me something other than something negative. Like, damn. When I say living in a Hispanic household is a piece of art, it's a piece of art. I made a post one day that no one could truly bully me because I was bullied at home. That's why I feel like I'm so strong now. You learn to love your family the way they are. But you also have to realize that a lot of your family members have not gone to therapy and have not actually healed the way you have. And it's something that's okay. I feel that after you heal, after you go to therapy, after you realize the person that you truly are, that's what matters. And that you love them just for who they are because, yes, they tell you all of that, but you know that they also mean good. But they also were not raised with the healthy habits that you are now taught yourself because unfortunately, especially for our older family members, it's hard for them to reprogram their mindset from the way that they were raised. And in a way, being raised in a Hispanic household is a little toxic. It's a little toxic. That's why I wanted to speak on that because It's hard, especially when you're a teenager, when you're a child. Growing up, you don't know what path to take. You don't know who to fall onto. You don't know what to do or what to say, because it's always like you're either micromanaged or you're, I don't know. That's been something that I've been wanting to speak on, because being overweight in a Hispanic household is not easy. And it either makes you build thick skin or it breaks you. And unfortunately for me, in the first few years of my life, it broke me. It ended up making me a shy person that literally shivers in front of their manager. I freaking never was the same after the bullying that I went through. And now that I know how important it is to live a healthy lifestyle, I know that a healthy lifestyle does not mean only eat once a day or deprive yourself from eating whatever you want to eat. That's not the problem. The problem that you build from depriving yourself is overeating. And that's what causes you to gain weight. That's what causes you to be unhealthy. That's what causes you to have all of these issues, like health issues. And it's not okay. Sometimes, like, yes, our culture is beautiful, but we also have to rewire ourselves to teach ourselves how to eat properly, what is healthy and what isn't. Okay, because rice, potato, yuca, and plantain all in one plate is not healthy. It's not healthy. It's actually pretty unhealthy because it's carb on carb. And those are the things that we have to teach ourselves, because we want to judge others and we want to be like, oh, but you're so overweight. Like, you should go hit the gym and do a diet. Do all of these things like it's easy. I was overweight once, and being overweight is almost like food is like a drug to an overweight person. It's addicted. There's no way to really truly let it go unless you take a step further and you want to actually do something like the gastric bypass to your life. That's the only way that you will rewire yourself, because the gastric bypass actually led me to learn how to eat again. I used to have a plate in front of me and I wouldn't even chew. I was just swallowing the entire food, like even chewing. I wasn't even enjoying the taste of the food. But after my gastric bypass, I had to force myself to chew my food, actually take my time, because the way that I was eating before was so unhealthy. And that's another thing. Hispanics eat very fast. And most of the times they eat fast and talk and they're not even realizing what's in front of them. But you have to really savor and you have to really chew down your food. You have to like taste food. You have to really program what you're eating so you could tell your mind that you're full. Because it's all a mind thing. Your stomach might be full, but your mind is telling you no, more. It has happened to me and it happens to me until today's date. But I have to always constantly rewire myself that that's not healthy. That's why I don't ever judge anyone that's overweight, because I know what it feels like. I know what it is. I know that it's hard. I know that it's not easy how people think that it is. People think that just because they see a little reel, a little video on TikTok of someone that lost 100 pounds, that it was easy for them. No, that was not easy for them. That was actually very difficult for them to do. That's a huge accomplishment, because, like I said, food to someone that's overweight is like a drug to a drug addict. It's addictive. It's something that you cannot let go. That's all I wanted to say today. It's not easy, but it's doable. I'm not saying that you need to get the gastric bypass, but I'm also saying that if you experience depression, if you used to be this child that was bubbly and outgoing and now you're just a shy person just like me, don't blame yourself. Don't blame your family members. Don't blame anyone. Just get up and change. Rewire the chain. Be different. Go to therapy. Go heal yourself. If you want to lose weight, make little small micro changes to your life to lose that weight. But you don't have to work out and be on a diet at the same time. Get on a diet first, then work out. Or start working out slowly and then do a diet. But don't go lift weights and do all of these crazy things that they tell you on the internet to change your life. No, no, no. Go walk for 30 minutes every day and you feel accomplished and you see your body change. And then you're going to want more. And then you're going to want to lift weights. And then you're going to want to eat healthier. And you're going to want to do a diet. But it's these little micro changes that you need to make in your life. You don't need to make a drastic change in your life to change your life from one day to the next, because it's not going to happen. The only way that you're going to make everything possible, that you're going to make huge changes in your life, is by creating discipline, by creating commitment, not by creating a disaster, because you're setting yourself up for failure. I promise you that. Been there, done that. I've done it all. You name it, I've done it. I've tried every pill. I've tried even not Ozempic, but metformin. Nothing works. I only lose weight when I want to lose weight, when I truly dedicate myself to myself. Thank you so much for watching. If you love this episode and you feel like it related to you and you want to heal just like I have been, please subscribe.